It has been a long time since I wrote a love letter, and it will be the first time writing it to a city. Yet, after living here for 2 years, I feel the calling to make this as an ode about the city, about what was, what is, and what will be. Right before moving here, while saying my goodbyes to my friends in Rotterdam, the saying, "to love is to share," crossed my thoughts as I reassured myself that no matter the time spent apart, in the end we would have lots of stories to share when meeting again. Ironically, I had not wrote this thought down in my thought diary, which I had at the time just started. This thought diary now acts as one of the symbols characterizing my time spent in Paris, holding the values and lessons learned from all the waves I encountered. Now to Paris, with its many waves, where so many great men and women of the past had thrown out their anchor. A city which I had only known from stills, yet the frames began moving now, and I found myself immersed into a city where cinema never stops. Hence, I will write these letters perhaps also as an ode to cinema, because Paris and cinema might just be as interchangeable. To the first time we met. When a bird spreads out their wings for the first time, the memory of it most likely would not stay as long, when all you come to know is to fly. However, humans are different. The ability to fly is desired by so many, yet taking the leap to learn how to fly remains something so many stray away from. Which in the end is understandable, because when one only knows darkness, any form of light is something to be feared. Yet, it is life that always offers a path of light, no matter the darkness. It is just up to man to take the steps. So, around 5 years ago, I unconsciously set out on this path and found myself all alone in Paris. When I look back now, it is easy to fall into the clichés, what made the city so special. But it was there, in the streets that I ended up walking up and down on many times to come, that I first awoken to that light. The light within me that became that big I noticed it, and most importantly, a light that I wanted to nourish. This light, coming from me now, can come in many different forms, yet some forms are just that much more bright, generally said. So it was that recognition of what was inside me that Paris was able to show me. It was the possibilities, it was the potential, it was life. To what was. Looking back on the past, it is easy to fall into the pattern of highlighting specific decisions and think about what could have been different. Yet, once one decides to make decisions out of their true selves, this sentiment loses its control, and the core feeling that shines through is gratitude. Gratitude of what was, and equally the gratitude of what is. At first, I had no clear explanation why I made the goal to move to Paris. Now I know that it was back then that I had made the decision to set out on this path of light, the one that was shown to me. So, around 2 years ago, I found myself in Paris again, but now with an apartment and the desire to keep on going on the path I had started. And now it was me who had thrown out their anchor to go and explore in this city of lights. And despite the street lighting being of substantial value to the overall, especially at night, It is the other forms of light that make this city live up to its name. And one can assume that this abundance of light can be quite overwhelming, and they would be right, and that is because all forms of light also bring along their shadows. And it is shadows that can carve deep into one's soul, leaving injuries that can last a long time, where it is then up to one to make peace with these shadows and even embrace them, despite the pain they caused, despite them not going away. It is the only thing to do in order to embrace the light that is also there. However, at times it is also life itself that can come to you with its magic, like stretching out a hand to guide you back to yourself. I have learned this magic is also something part of humans, even if it's only a few select ones. Meeting these people could be regarded as a stroke of luck, and again, I'm not one to deny it, because when one is trying to embrace change, embracing chance goes hand in hand with it. So, you let your dice be filled with lessons, and you courageously throw the dice, knowing that whatever it lands on, it will bring something new, and it is up to your soul to decide eventually how you measure it. Which is then also a reminder to at all costs be kind and protective of your soul, in it being the most important guide on whichever path you are walking. And when friction does arrive, it is very useful to realize that all progress has friction at its main foundation, and it is not necessarily something to try stay away from. The noise of a big city can easily cause a significant rise in friction, and it is up to one to learn how to filter this out and push through eventually. And once you do push past this friction, it is life that offers a rebirth, and not one in the dramatical sense. For example, in my case, I learned that the word Renaissance is not only the historical time period that I had once learned in school, but it is an actual word on its own, with its own meaning, that I was now able to apply to my own life. And it was only a year later that I learned that the 21st of December is the day to celebrate the rebirth of light. One on which, looking back, it might have been the wish granted by a fallen star that made life come to me, the same way it did 5 years ago. To what is. Now, to think about what makes one change, there could be various answers to be found, but at the core of all of those is the will to. The will to choose life, the will to choose the unknown, and why should you not flourish? So, you reinvent yourself, and you remind yourself to keep doing it. You find projects to live for as your view of reality expands, and you act upon the light within you that you have nourished and gained from the light around you. Finding balance on new waters takes time. However, in the end, it is attained by keeping on pushing for it. Conscious thinking, along with consistency, can certainly bring reinforcements that help you get there. I've learned Paris also makes a pretty good partner as well, since inspiration is truly all around the city, and it would be a waste to not use that as a catalyst for creation, since creating is the closest one can get to the essence of being. And it is up to you to choose which currency you value the most. In a world where scarcity has become one of the most widespread currencies, it pays so much more to choose the currency of abundance, especially when life has so much on offer. And it is still important, however, to not hold any expectations for what does come to you, because life comes to you exactly the way it is supposed to, while expectations only distance themselves after you create them, leaving you looking for them. And when looking back on the path one walks, it is inevitable to have crossed failure quite a few times. When naturally in the beginning you try to avoid it out of fear, it is once you accept it for what it is, befriend it, and even end up seeking it, when the pace of which you are advancing drastically increases. After all, it is the art of trying that could be seen as the only form of art that is showcased in every museum in the world. And despite not having mastered painting nor making sculptures, the exhibition of your own museum can gain a plethora of new works this way. Works that are founded in the merging of past and present, no matter the scale. At the core lies your soul, with the spirit of your younger self as the main driving force. It is up to one to keep this spirit alive as long as possible, creating synergy between creativity and love. And unto love, that despite its interchangeable nature with light, only got named once until now. I suppose it is the more practical explanation when you have something that you can measure. However, love is something that no matter how hard we try, cannot be measured, only felt. And going back to the one thought that I had not wrote down, to love is to share. While being grateful for Paris to have shared so many moments with, in the end, it were the moments shared with the people that are met on the way that end up sticking the most, because relating back to practical terms, they just provide that much more light. It is then these moments that have truly nourished the light within me to get to the point I am of today, as I'm preparing my depart of this city. To what will be. To know what is at the end of the horizon means you have to keep going. Keep going on the path of light that is shown to you, which means raising your anchor that fulfilled its purpose in offering stability. And you set out, taking control of your ship with courage and pride. Waves will keep coming at you. However, a sailor who has withstood many storms knows which ones to welcome and lets themselves be led by destiny's wind. You let life come to you as an open invitation that will accompany you in its many forms. And it would only be fair to exchange the light that is within you for this gesture. And just as its many forms, life comes to you in many different places, where with both it seems to have its favorites. It is up to you to cherish these, since with the long road ahead, having a companion by your side just makes it a lot more enjoyable. Paris is a beautiful haven, one in which you could get to meet parts of life that you cannot meet elsewhere. So, when setting out once again, after having gone to know the light of this city, it is reassuring to know I have found a place that I can come back to when needed. And I will be looking forward to that time, with the promise to have more light to share on my behalf. And I will try share it with life, in your streets, your parks, your cafes, your restaurants, your museums, and your cinemas. And even when it may seem like a distant wish, it is the choice to keep on dreaming, to the point of those dreams becoming reality. And dreaming for a third fallen star, perhaps that is my reality.